Greetings. Welcome to this month's edition of Professional Development in Your Inbox. My name is Dr. Channing Moreland, and I am a Senior Solutions Consultant at TiER1 Performance. As an inclusivity advocate and someone that is extremely passionate about developing culturally responsive professionals, I am super excited to facilitate a discussion on practicing cultural humility to promote inclusion at work. I like to start by diving deeper into cultural competency first. You may have heard this term before in your educational institutions, within your organizations, or even in the media. Cultural competence is the ability to recognize, acknowledge, and respond sensitively and appropriately to people in their cultural context. Cultural competency means that you can be taught and or trained on the necessary skills to be culturally responsive. Greater knowledge equals greater competence. Many of us have been told to be culturally competent. I'm sure you've heard this term before, but is that really the goal? When you think about the word competent, what comes to mind? What does that mean to you? Many may say it means either you know it or you don't. Cultural competency doesn't always account for those people who are in the process of learning. And truly, will we ever be in a place where we know everything about one's culture? We will soon learn that to truly get this work done right with minimal harm, it's more than just knowing and having the intellectual knowledge. I would like to introduce cultural humility. There is a quote by Joe Gallagher that says, "To be culturally humble means that I am willing to learn." Cultural humility is the willingness to accurately assess one's limitations, the ability to acknowledge gaps in one's knowledge, and an openness to new ideas, contradictory information, and advice. Cultural humility supports the development of building and maintaining authentic relationships with individuals of different cultural and ethnic backgrounds, and it helps foster workplace inclusion. Cultural humility acknowledges that there is so much to learn. It's a mindset shift. It's a lifelong, career-long commitment to learning. When we are practicing cultural humility, it's being able to be comfortable with admitting that you don't know what you don't know, but you're seeking to understand. You are intentional about connecting with people who are different than you. You are intentional about learning and honoring the beliefs, customs, and values of others and incorporating those findings in business practices and service delivery whenever possible. You are intentional about self-exploration and self-critique. When you are practicing cultural humility, you are remaining in a state of introspection. We are recognizing challenges and power imbalances. We are no longer the expert. We are ego-free. Ego does not exist where cultural humility lives. When we are practicing cultural humility, we are learning together and we're de-emphasizing cultural competency. We are other-oriented. Right? We don't have to know everything. It really takes the pressure away. You will make mistakes. You may have already made mistakes. You will continue to make mistakes, and that is okay. The goal here is to acknowledge your mistake and continue your journey of understanding. When we are practicing cultural humility, it's okay to ask questions. It is not, however, the person's responsibility, the person you're connecting with and trying to get to know, it's not their responsibility to be your personal Google, to tell you everything that you want to know. We also have to do our own due diligence and research, okay, and share what we've learned. It's okay to ask questions such as, what are your preferred pronouns? How do you identify your culture? Tell me a little bit more about your culture. Right? Do you need any accommodations to fully participate in this program, in this service, or in this meeting? It's also okay to acknowledge and be attuned to the historical and cultural events reported in the media or history that really impact, right, someone's culture and how they show up at work, in meetings, in their personal life. It's okay to acknowledge that as well. The main differences between cultural competency and cultural humility is cultural competency implies a discrete endpoint. It implies that one can function with a thorough knowledge of the mores and beliefs of another culture, right? It's this intellectual understanding of culture. When we're shifting to cultural humility, it acknowledges that it is impossible to be adequately knowledgeable about all cultures. And it's also a commitment for active engagement in the process of lifelong learning and critical self-reflection.